A bustling Sunday lunch in Nottingham as families gather to catch up and cook some homemade food. On the menu, rice and peas, Jamaican-style fish and veg, and lots of chat. But the story of how these guests are around this table today goes back generations, and in particular to the Windrush era.
Already their coming has caused a national controversy.
Back in 1948, thousands of people from the small islands in the Caribbean were invited to Britain at the request of the UK government. Now, this was to help the country rebuild after the war. The call for help was picked up by many, who then packed up their belongings, made their way onto ships to a new country, a new way of life and a new home. Among those arriving on UK shores through the years was Coleman.
Well, when we first came here, I can remember this white man was sweeping the street and he's got a necktie on. And my father says, necktie, cleaning street. The things that we see happen totally changed.
Do you know, when you first came over, did you want to go back to Jamaica?
The first month I spent, I want to go back because I didn't like the cold. And when I have to buy the coal and to make the fire, oh God, that was... I always want to go back.
Catherine Ross, originally from St Kitts, works with Coleman in Nottingham. She runs the Museum and project, which educates people around the country on Windrush-related collections from the Caribbean.
That age group was dying out, and did they have stories? And I wanted to hear the stories. We rely on artifacts that we've dug up, or we rely on books that have got saved. What I wanted is more oral histories. Yeah, they're much, as we would say in the Caribbean, sweeter than just seeing the artifact.
And the thing about the Caribbean community, if there's one thing they love to do, they love to chat.
Yes, yes.
You know?
We believe in the oral tradition. Yes, but I would say, yeah, we like a good chat.
Catherine says people coming to Nottingham particularly resonated with that part of England, but the reason wasn't very healthy.
Well, the people who came to England, to Nottingham in particular, were very pleased that they landed in Nottingham, because of course we had players, the cigarette place, and back home people were still smoking clay pipes and things like that, unless you went to America. So being here in Nottingham, where players, you'd given your free amount, people used to send them back home or give them to friends. So yeah, long live Nottingham.
And keeping a sense of heritage was key for many of the new arrivals. Savannah, you've been described as the godfather of black British photography. You've been taking iconic photos of black British people for over 50 years. Why?
Well, I felt it was necessary. Normally what we find is history is written by the victor, and we've never been in that position. It was also in response to the negative press that we were having at the time. The press was full of racism, print media and television, and there wasn't a lot of TV at the time, but whatever little there was a lot of negative response to the people coming here.
So at the time when those shows were on television, you didn't find them offensive?
We didn't find it. You know, we were living that experience. It was just someone sharing what we were living on the screen. We were fighting racism on the street, so we laughed at those sort of things that were on television.
The next decades brought a slow change in attitudes towards the acceptance of the Windrush arrivals. Much progress has been made since then, and the decades on. Britain is now a more diverse place because of it. But this year, 70 years since arriving, the Windrush families found themselves at the forefront of a political scandal like never before.
Sajid Javid is appointed Home Secretary after the resignation of Amber Rudd. He says the Windrush scandal is his top priority.
Families who had lived here for years stood to be separated over immigration documents. At the heart of it, claims that they were not British and had no right to live here. Rosemary Campbell-Stevens has been recognised by the royal family for her 35 years service to education in Britain. She regularly travels to Jamaica and says that the effects of the Windrush scandal are very much alive. So, you enjoyed your time in Jamaica?
Absolutely.
And then you came back?
Yes, I did, yes. I come back regularly. My mother's here, my younger sister is here, so I come back regularly.
Were you nervous about coming back to the country?
Unfortunately, I was this time round, and it's because of the Windrush situation.
Yeah.
I actually put my MBE in my handbag before I put my passport in.
Why?
Because I was concerned. I was concerned that I'd arrive at Heathrow, and because I was no longer living in the country, that I'd be asked questions about my right to be here. And I think that's an appalling situation for us to be in.
Yeah.
My husband said to me, don't get arrested and carry your MBE, so I did.
Back at lunch in Nottingham, and I'm keen to understand how that Windrush story has passed through the generations since.
Certainly from my parents' perspective and grandparents, it's the sacrifice that they made so I can live the life I lead now. We had the conversation over dinner of our parents having more than one job, working really hard whilst looking after a home, running a home and schoolwork and everything. So to me it's about sacrifice.
So it's a story of sacrifice, but what next for our Windrush families? Des Coleman, ITV News.